Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at story making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nigerian News Direct. The major story here says, INEC declaration, Tinubu, Atiku will be in war of words over victory claim. Quietly relocates to Dubai, Tinubu tells Atiku, says Obi didn't fulfill 25% requirement in 2/3 of states. You find out the details on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. To the Daily Trust now, presidential poll worst in our history. Atiku will be a candidate set to court, call for calm. Don't mislead Nigerians, APC is saying. US urges INEC to address Beaver's concerns before governorship polls. You find all the details on the front page of the Daily Trust. And on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper now, verbal warfare over presidential election. We are heading to court to retrieve our mandate, says Obi. APC do that instead of street protests. Atiku, we are talking to our lawyers for advice. All the details on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. And to the leadership newspaper, Atiku will be reject Tinubu's emergence as president. Late claim to mandate, head to court. Let's meet there. Asiwaju Des PDP LP candidates be calm. CSOs tell Nigerians. Mike.
All right, I have the blueprint here. The blueprint newspaper says, aftermath of presidential polls, all right, Atiku will be Tinubu shift battle to court, right? And it says, I'll prove my mandate was stolen. Will be saying this. Election grossly flawed. Will be took PDP votes in South and Southeast, but can't be president. Atiku is saying this. I'm ready to meet you in court. President-elect tells challengers. All this you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. First News is next. First News says that Tinubu's victory will be Atiku make counterclaims to winning presidential poll. Will be Atiku make counterclaims to winning presidential poll. I have proofs I won. I'm going to court to be saying that. I'll challenge Tinubu's victory. Atiku vows. All right, you see all that on the front page of the First News. Business Day is next. Business Day says Big Four contend for Lagos. What's at stake? Big Four contend for Lagos. What's at stake? All this you see on the front page of the Business Day. Okay. Nature News is the last we're looking at now, and it's talking about flooding. NEMA asks riverine residents to vacate flood-prone areas. Okay. NEMA asks riverine residents to vacate flood-prone areas. That's what we have here.
Mike, we're still looking at the leading contenders, the Labour Party and the PDP, talking about going to the courts. That's the story is splashed on the front page of almost all the front pages of Nigerian newspapers this morning. And then there's the response of the APC saying, you know, leading up when he was collecting his certificate of return, when he received it, he talked about his heart being open to everyone, and his doors are open to everyone. And now he has gone ahead to say that he has even come up with a committee, like we read, for reconciliation to parties. But then again, on the one hand, he's also saying, okay, we'll meet in court, if that is what you're saying.
No, of course. That's the point. There is the moment they go to court, that is the issue of we have evidence we're going to court against because it is him. They are challenging. Yeah. So he will certainly, the APC will certainly have a representation in court, right? So whoever, whether the lawyer or any candidate who represents, or any individual who represents the APC and Tinubu himself, it means that Tinubu is in court. That's what it means, right? Fine. So the whole thing is quite interesting, and it is still part of the system where the three candidates will be in court. Of course, one is defending on all fronts, then one is attacking from one edge, then the other is attacking from another edge. So the APC is the defender in all of this situation here. So if you watch the trajectory, Atiku on one hand and Obi on the other hand, all laying claims to the mandate, it tells you that whatever evidence they are going to bring, at the end of the day, it's not going to be uniform.
Of course.
Right. So if there is no uniform evidence, that's another ball game altogether.
Entirely.
Because they are all going to court almost at the same time for the same reason, but with different evidence. Because Obi is saying, I won. I have evidence. Atiku is saying, I won. I have evidence. Okay, fine. So go to court, to the same courts they are going to go to tender all of that evidence, which from their own window is not the same. Fine. So we wait to see how all that will play out. That is not to say they don't have evidence. That's not to say this is going to play this way, it's going to play that way. The best thing, the most civilized thing to do is to go to court. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else. Well, however, you heard Atiku saying that Obi, it was our votes you took. You cannot be president.
I'm surprised he agreed. So he agreed to that.
Yeah, no, of course.
The South and the South.
No, he knows. Yeah. Atiku knows that the moment Obi left PDP to Labour Party, he was living with a chunk of the votes of PDP. So in this election,
it didn't seem like they saw it that way, that things will pan out this way.
Of course, nobody knew it was going to be this way. Nobody knew. Nobody envisaged. Nobody knew it was going to take this dimension. Right. But it is interesting. That's why democracy is sweet. It's very interesting. The point there is, in the United States, where there is room for independent candidates, we've seen some in the past where independent candidates will muster a lot of support, even if they don't win. But then we see a lot of that. How much more when they belong to a political party? So in Nigeria, this tells that anybody can rise up from somewhere and become so popular. Now, recall that in the build-up to everything, Atiku, from all of the strategies he was putting in place, in fact, we heard that there was a move for alignment before the polls. But that didn't work because Obi had already seen that he had gotten a lot of support from especially the young population a lot of them who were going to vote for the first time. They were not part of the system, they were not interested in the system, but because of him, they were going to be part of the system. Right. Fine. So the point there is that nobody knew how it was going to pan out, but eventually panned out this way, and it's a good thing for democracy. But what we're saying is that if you have evidence and you collate everything and take it to court, it's as simple as that.
Even Atiku at this point is saying that if Obi wants an alliance, that they are open to that. And I'm saying, is this a subtle way of saying, come, let's have some alliance? And do you see a form of alliance coming from?
No, of course. There's nothing impossible in politics. But the point there is, what will that, now that the polls are over,
what would that achieve?
What would that achieve? But on the other hand, let's create a scenario. If they go to the tribunal or to the court or to the Supreme Court, wherever the whole thing goes through, and it turns out that maybe they took it to Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says, okay, Tinubu didn't win. Let's create a scenario and conduct fresh election. If a situation like that arises, then an alliance between the Labour Party and PDP could work out. They could say, okay, let us come together, and of course they have to do a negotiation. And it's going to be a hard one because the point there is that Atiku, being someone who has been in the trenches, who has been in the system for a very long time,
this is his sixth time.
It's going to be very challenging for him to say, okay, I'm going to be
the
vice to an Obi. Obi, who, on the other hand, rose up, saw the power of his personality and his person amongst young people who feel that, no, it's not at this point that I'm going to succumb to another person again. So, of course, there's nothing impossible, but it's going to be challenging for both men to say, okay, I am going to shift the ground to become your vice, or you become my vice, as the case may be. So, if that doesn't happen, then any alliance right now will not materialize into anything, except if for the next election in 2027, if the both men see that, okay, I think we have learned lessons from...
Atiku will still be on the post.
He's a Nigerian.
I doubt that.
Did he tell you he won't contest?
This is his sixth time, Mike.
Did he tell you he will not contest?
He's aging.
Did he tell you he will not contest? The Constitution of the Federal Republic did not put an age limit to whoever will contest. If he wants to contest even at the age of 90, it is his right to contest if he wants to. It is left for Nigerians to say, no, Hoga, you don't do. It is at that point. Or he himself saying, okay, I think at this point
it's time to retire.
It's time to allow Nigeria to go. You recall that even IBB, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, former military president, he wanted to contest for president, even in the Fourth Republic. It was when he tested the waters and he was like, I think my time is... And he decided to withdraw, right? Fine. So the point there is, Atiku has the right to, if he wants to. So if Nigerians say, oh, no, he shouldn't. No, you cannot say he shouldn't. If he decides to put his heart in the ring, you can say we don't want you by the votes. That's the only way to say we don't want you. It's not to say, no, he should not contest. He has the right to contest. So if this election passes, the only next time they can try it out is in 2027. Which is the next round of general election. That is the only time they can say, okay, let us learn lessons from 2023, and let us come together, let us align, let us, whatever the thing, let us merge. However way they want to go at that time, they are free to do it at that time. So that's the only option left.
But would you say someone like Atiku has learned some lessons? Because leading up to the election, we knew what the situation was with the G5. And we were having conversations here almost every day with regards to that. Like, this man needs to actually speak with these people to address any matters, you know, with regard that they are having to move him forward. But it seems like right now he's learning the lesson too late.
No, the point there is, Atiku knew what to do. He knew exactly, in fact, he knew much more than what to do. It was just the interest at the time. It was the interest at the time that it didn't favor the concept of reconciling these people. Otherwise, what were they asking for? What were the G5 asking for? Okay, you've taken the presidency. Give us national chairman from the south so that we balance the... That is what they were asking for. Of course, the interest at the time means a lot to Atiku the way he wanted it to be. So it was not easy for him to compromise that to say, okay, let us allow...
Results should
of course, it is always an experiment. In politics, you always experiment. And you gamble. It's a risk that you take. If it pans out well, fine. If it doesn't pan out well, so be it. You go back to the drawing board. It's just like Peter Obi. When he left PDP and went into Labour Party, it was a gamble. It was a gamble. It was a risk he took. He paid off with his popularity. He paid off with this. Now, courtesy of him, Labour Party has gotten some senators. Labour Party has gotten some House of Rep members. And in the coming election, who knows? He could also win some governorship. He could win House of Assembly, as the case may be. So that's the thing. You gamble in politics. Sometimes it pans out well for you. Other times it could be a disaster. So that's gamble, or the gambling where they decided not to succumb or not to attend to the G5. It was a disaster as far as the ambition of Atiku was concerned. So, but if he's going to get the mandate back, go to court and let the court decide whether you won or you didn't win. It's as simple as that.
All right. We'll end